Everybody have their Chem Beast little stylus thingy. You're going to be using it today. Good luck, chemists. You're going to do great. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you and your loved ones are well and you are finishing the year strong via distance learning. I'm in week 9 of distance learning and it's been going fine. I've been trying a lot of different tech tools and working with my students, and I'm still meeting with them every day via Google Meet. Where I have been struggling recently is where I'm administering summative assessments. Summative assessments are supposed to reflect what the student knows and only what the student knows. And so I've been struggling with obviously academic integrity, which I'm sure we all are, but also knowing how much time it takes for the students to complete these questions. I was in search for another tech tool that would allow me to monitor student progress, allow the students to submit their work more easily, and also give me the chance to grade their work more effectively. I reached out to one of my colleagues who has been using this in her math class, and she told me a little bit about GoFormative, and I was like, okay, we'll have to try this. As soon as I started working in it, I was in love. I absolutely love the features. The students found it really easy to use, and of course, it made it really easy to grade. So the purpose of this video is to talk more about GoFormative. However, I want you to know I am not sponsored in any way from GoFormative. This is just a tech tool that I've been using in my class, and I have found that it really has changed the way that I administer summative assessments. To sign up for GoFormative is very easy. Go to GoFormative.com, click sign up, and click that you are a teacher. From there, you can log in using Google, Clever, Microsoft, or enter your email address and password. You can create a free account or a paid account. I loved GoFormative so much, I did the paid account, plus it has a free 30-day trial, and I wanted to make sure that I had enough different question types that I could ask my students. For your students to join, you're going to click join code, and then your students can enter the code for their particular class, and then your students will automatically be enrolled. This is what the GoFormative dashboard looks like. Now, to create a new formative assessment, you'll just click New Formative, and then you can type in your title. I am going to always add some sort of directions on the top. So on the left, those red boxes are like directions usually. That's what I use them for. So that's a text box. And what I like about everything is you can really customize it to your classroom. So I tend to include emojis on everything. So I'll include, for example, a smiley face of some kind, but you can also do an image. You could also include some sort of video or even an audio directions if you wanted to. To add more questions, you click the plus sign, and that's where you work on the right-hand side. So on the right-hand side, you can see there's so many different question types. Probably the most common one that I will use would be, for example, an audio response where I want the students to explain something. But then as an added bonus, if you notice, it says show your work. So you can actually have a whiteboard that your students can work on as they go through each question, and they can really show their thinking, and you can really get a more clear picture about any misconceptions and anything that they need to potentially work on. So I'm going to add another question type again just for you to kind of see the process and how you can do this. But you can see a lot of them are very creative. But in this case, I wanted to do a show your work section because I teach chemistry, so students have to do a lot of math, so I wanted my students to be able to work out their math problems in that background. When you're ready and you want to take a look at what this will look like for the students, you can click on that little eyeball in the upper right hand corner, and you'll actually see what it looks like depending on the device that your student is using. So my students all have Chromebooks, so this is what it actually will look like, and you can kind of get a little bit more of a clear picture that you have everything included that you need to. When you're ready to assign your assessment to your students, you just go to assign in the middle there. And then you can click on whatever class you want. You can do multiple classes. You could even do guest students. So if you have makeups, for example. But for me, I just selected my CP chemistry class. And what I love so much about it is that you can restrict to specific students. So if you have different versions of a quiz, you can restrict that. You can also schedule open and close times. You can even select what happens when your students submit. So they could, for example, have their answers blocked off until you're ready to show them again. And then what I really love is that you can also display the questions in random order. Now, it didn't make much sense to me to show you what this would look like, but if you wanted to see what was happening, you would go to View Responses. But for me, I thought I would show you an assessment that I created for my students for our equilibrium unit. So we focus primarily on graphing equilibrium and what these rates ultimately look like when they're graphed. And so I created a formative assessment that allowed my students to incorporate a bunch of different question types, and then I was able to view their responses in real time while they were taking it. There were multiple versions, so that's why there's only 5 students that technically have answered this quiz.
But you can see that I was able to upload a graph. The students could trace over the different graphs. You can also control the way the graphs look on your screen. So if you have multiple students that you want to monitor, you can control that on your end. And then just to monitor how many questions the students have gotten through, you can also see there, you can go through and you can count how many questions. Now this was a 5-question quiz, so I was able to see which questions they visited and which questions is taking a long time, and that way I can ensure that my students were able to finish this in a timely fashion. One of the other really great things about GoFormative is that you can actually search their library for a bunch of different questions and summative and formative assessments that are already available. So this was one that I stumbled across, which I thought was really cool, because if you notice, the format is completely different than the one that I created, in that it's essentially a worksheet, and the students can click on the numbers and answer their questions that way.
So if you've been looking for a web application that's going to allow you to keep track of student progress, have your students submit their work more easily, looking for a variety of question types, I know for me, I did sign up. However, there is a 30-day free trial, and as long as you cancel in advance, like before your actual trial is up, it will not charge your credit card. So that's what I plan on doing. And if I'm into distance learning for the long haul next year, which I'm hoping that we're not going to be, it's definitely something that I'm going to bring up to my technology department so that maybe we can get some subscriptions to use for our classes. Either way, I hope you have a wonderful weekend, a wonderful Memorial Day, and the weeks are winding down. And so I wish you a wonderful, happy, peaceful end to your school year.